What is the most disturbing thing to know? I work as an anesthesiologist. I've put people to sleep in an emergency situation knowing that they will almost certainly not survive the surgery. These are generally situations where without surgery the patient will not survive, but even with surgery the chances of survival are still small. In most of these instances the patients are too obtunded or aren't conscious enough to be aware of the gravity of their situation, but in a number of instances the patients have been conscious, talking although clearly anxious. I try to reassure and tell the person that we won't leave their side, that we will take care of them, and that they will be fine. It kind of fucks me up a bit to say this to someone, but I always include the last part because I just don't see the point in telling them the truth. I had one guy tell me he felt like he wasn't going to make it. I told him he would make it, but knew he wasn't going to. I put him to sleep knowing that the last human face he would see before he died was mine as he stared up at me as I held an oxygen mask over his mouth and nose. I consider myself quite a resilient person, but knowing this stuff is a bit of a load to carry around. That the adults don't know what's going on either. Cruise liners all have a morgue for all the passengers that inevitably die each trip. That this post is going to be a BuzzFeed article in about half a week, and there's nothing you can do about it. That there is anywhere between 25 to 50 active serial killers in the United States, according to the FBI. There are spiders that capture bats in South America. The youngest person to ever give birth was 5 years old, Lena Medina. Just think of what happened to the poor girl. That the majority of humans will wait until life-threatening problems become unsolvable before they try to fix them. If we see a life-threatening meteor is going to strike us in a few years, we probably, at least at the moment, couldn't do anything about it. They've had training simulations with this exact scenario, and they only got it right like 10% of the time. They need more like 10 years to reliably and consistently stop it. Prion. They are proteins that make normal proteins in your brain fold abnormally, causing neurological decay and various prion diseases. Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease is one example. CJD may occur spontaneously, be inherited, or be transmitted by contact with infected tissue, such as during a transplant or from eating contaminated meat. Once this starts, it's 100% fatal. Most often within 1 year, you're dead. No cure. You can kill the prion with several hours of heat at 900 F. This obviously kills the person too. Thankfully it's rare. Less than 1,000 cases per year in the US. Still scares the shit out of me. One of the scariest and most disturbing thing I've watched on the internet is that one guy's slow descent to insanity because its brain lost its ability to sleep. He vlogged regularly until he died. That's one of the most disturbing things I know, that anyone, including myself, can have their last sleep without knowing it. Llama spit is actually projectile vomit. That at some point, you will hang out with a group of close friends for the last time and not even know it. You'll assume there will be a next time, but that's it. The liver can be ruptured in one punch. Liver is the second most fragile organ in the human body. There are about 6 US nuclear weapons that are currently unaccounted for, Broken Arrow, and several times that number missing from Russia. Fatal insomnia is a thing. How many things TSA lets slip through during security tests? You never stop seeing. When your eyes are closed, you're just looking at your eyelids. A brain aneurysm can kill you at any time. A cardiac tamponade is when your heart literally chokes itself to death. If a blood vessel inside the pericardium leaks, a tough membrane protecting the heart's pumping will force blood into the space between itself and the pericardium. As the space fills, the heart can't pump anymore due to a lack of space. It literally drowns in your own blood. The number of people older than you decreases each day, and the number of people younger than you increases each day. Dolphins' brutality kill baby porpoise for no reason. The Nutty Putty Cave accident. Google for full disturbing details / a map of the cave, but basically a guy got stuck caving in a very narrow, unmapped tunnel, upside down. They could not get him out, but almost did. One of the rescuers made eye contact with him apparently, but then their pulley system broke, and he fell further down. Unfortunately, he ended up dying of cardiac arrest from being upside down for so long, and they couldn't get him out / never retrieve the body because it was too dangerous for rescuers. Truly so disturbing. I've thought about it probably once a week since I found out about it a few months ago. Scrolled a lot, and no one mentioned that a tumor can have teeth and eyes. That is something I will never get over. I'm not sure, but it should be called mesothelioma. For every 1 human cell in your body, scientists estimate there are 1 to 10 non-human cells, aka lots of little microorganisms living inside you. Babies don't have kneecaps. 1/3 of all people who break their hip die within the year. So please tape pillows to your elderly relatives. That slavery is still one of the biggest profiting trades in the world. There are chicken plants pretending to be rehabs, where prisoners get sent to work as near slaves. One aspect of foster care. Some people will take their child to a doctor. Child gets diagnosed with cancer. Child goes to first appointment. Kid gets wheeled back for treatment. Parents then leave, go home, pack, and disappear. The kid is in the treatment waiting room, waiting for parents that will never ever come. Sick and facing death alone. It doesn't happen a lot, but enough to have processes in place. The worst is when they are like 4, although a 7-year-old was also rough. Also, It's biological parents that abandon them at the hospital. But foster parents do too, especially if the first foster parents are relatives that were strongly asked to foster. If an elephant's mate dies, then they can die from broken heart syndrome. Cyanide poisoning is an incredibly painful way to die. Cyanide was what Jonestown consumed for mass suicide. Parents were instructed to give it to their children and convinced the crying was just fear. A raccoon can fit up your ass if it wanted to. There's millions of little creatures munching on your dead skin every second. A gamma ray burst, or even a cosmic ray storm, could cause a near-instant mass extinction event. These both, probably, have affected life on Earth before. Both are common events in space, basically random, and our only protection is the vastness of space. Chris Farley's last words were, "Don't leave me." He said at the prostitute he was with, who then stole his watch and took a picture of him dead/dying. Ick about most disturbing, but most. Pre-ground coffee contains a certain amount of cockroaches and other bugs. When they get the coffee beans in Madagascar, there's so many roaches living in it that it's too much time and effort to sort them all out. So, a lot of pre-ground coffee is allowed to have a certain amount of cockroach in it. Now you know why some coffee has so much protein. Pelicans are some of the most demonic birds in existence, if not some of the most demonic creatures. Pelicans will go into other birds' nests, shove the parents out of the nest. They will then swallow babies whole, fly back to their own nests, and regurgitate the still half-alive, partially digested babies to their own babies for them to consume. Some pelicans are literally raised on the partially digested, living flesh of other baby birds. The law does not prevent you from doing anything, but it does give consequences if you do. If you want to kill someone, and it's okay with the penalty, you can. Years ago, I remember watching an episode of the show Monsters Inside Me, where this 16-year-old kid was doing something outside, and a fly flew into his eye. It only made contact for about a microsecond, but it was enough time for it to lay eggs. After they hatched, they started eating his eye from the inside, and he was starting to go blind until a doctor finally figured out what was wrong. Just imagine that, getting your eye eaten from the inside and losing your sight, all because a fly very briefly made contact with you. Ever since I learned about this, I get really paranoid when there is a fly around my face because of the fact that this could possibly happen to me. If you try to grab the brain in its natural state, it will fall apart. When you see scientists pick up the brain, they have used chemicals to harden it. That one day, everything we know and can imagine will be forgotten. Often, burnt bodies are found in the same stance, known as the boxer pose, due to muscles contracting from heat. It's an incredibly disturbing-looking thing. I first heard about it from my grandfather that fought in Burma. During the war, he was present at a Burmese funeral in which the cadaver was burnt on a pyre. Just as the flames began to singe the corpse, it sat up straight. The Burmese, of course, got a good laugh out of the British soldiers collectively shitting themselves, as contractions due to heat during cremation is apparently rather common. Doesn't make it any less creepy. There are enough kangaroos in Australia to take over Thailand. There are about 8 kangaroos per person there. That it literally just takes one person to decide to kill you. In any situation, the fact that someone can choose you randomly to kill, they might be caught and arrested, but they would have already killed you. No one can really prepare for it. That if you have ALS, you're more than likely going to suffocate to death. My mom used to work for this elder gentleman who suffered from ALS. One day she gets a call that he's passed away in his apartment. From what she told me, she walked in and his eyes were wide open and his mouth was open permanently, left gasping for air. ALS is a neurodegenerative disease that causes people to lose control over their nerves over time to the point of near vegetative state. Most people don't last very long once diagnosed because they lose the ability to expand their chest to breathe and pretty much choke to death. That sadder thing about it that you could be fully awake when this happens and have no way of stopping it. During World War II, Japan bombed China with fleas infected with the bubonic plague. If you see a kangaroo in a river or lake, then don't go/swim to it. It will drown you. Kangaroos are known to be waiting in water for animals to come to them, and then proceed to drown them. Google kangaroo in water/lake, and you'll see it sitting there, menacingly. That you're going to spend an infinite amount of time dead. The black hole S50014 plus 81 will exist for another 10 duotrigintillion years. That's a 1 and 99 zeros. But that's still an inconceivably small nothing in comparison to the infinity, after all the black holes evaporate away and the universe is just a cold black void for infinity. The most disturbing thing I know is that some bodies will flop around when beheaded and some bodies will go instantly still. Very rough learning that at a young age with unrestricted access to the internet. Late to the game. But learning this has really affected me, and as a mom of 4, it's hard to wrap my mind around it. A nurse who works at a local children's hospital shared that parents of children who are terminally ill will leave their children at the hospital and never come back, including after they die. Apparently, it happens more often than we'd like to allow ourselves to believe. They just leave their children scared and alone while they die, except for the amazing doctor and nursing staff to be with them and comfort them. I can't even fathom it. It makes my anxiety spike every time I think of it. It's just so heartbreaking. That based on luck of birth, your life can range from a living hell to a life of unimaginable luxury. The Shikijima incident that took place in 1944. Japanese soldiers shot down an airplane with 9 passengers on board. 8 of them were beaten and tortured before they were beheaded. After their death, Japanese soldiers ate body parts of 4 of the men out of those 8. The 9th one to escape was George H.W. Bush. It's not as disturbing as I'm sure the others are going to be in this thread, but it definitely made me think about how history could have been altered had he been one of the victims of execution and cannibalism here. Flies don't have teeth, so when they land on your sandwich and want to eat some, they barf up the contents of their stomach, often containing another animal's shit, so the digestive enzymes can get on the food and then they eat. How many disturbing and sick people we interact with on a daily basis, whom we don't know are psychopaths or child abusers. Kinks can be inherited from your parents. One of Mayhem's band members committed suicide. When he was found by his bandmate, pictures were taken and it became the new album cover. The photographer was subsequently murdered by Varg Vikernes, who masterminded church burnings. Anything can happen to anyone at any moment. I had my first seizure at 18. No family member has had epilepsy before. Never take anything for granted. It can all change in an instant. That bananas are a berry. There are 32 missing nuclear weapons. And those are only the ones that we know of. There are guys with a fetish to cut off their penises. There's even a subreddit dedicated to it. I found out about it a few months ago, and it still haunts me. Inside every old person is a young person wondering where the fuck the years went. The Rainbow Valley on Mt. Everest is only called that because of the amount of colored jackets from the people that died making the climb are frozen in place, bound to the mountain forever. 3 million kids are dying from starvation each year, while 1 billion tons of food are being thrown away each year. People kill for fun. Anesthesia awareness is a thing. Given the effects of anesthetics preventing the formation of new memories, it's possible it always happens and we just don't remember it afterwards. That every day you may do something or see someone for the last time in your life. The CPR dummy face template is based on a dead 16-year-old girl's face. Her body was pulled from the River Seine in the 1880s and her cause of death and identity were never discovered. A mortician was so entranced by her peaceful expression that he made a plaster mask of her, which became the face of CPR dummies and health training equipment. So hundreds of millions of people have kissed the face of an anonymous dead girl in the last 150 years. Stress destroys your body on a molecular level. At any moment, a ray of gamma radiation from a black hole could completely wipe out the Earth, and we wouldn't even know it. We'd just be dead. That UAE is building their country using modern slavery, and no one seems to care about it. Celebrities going there and marketing Dubai as if nothing horrible is going on. On that episode of The Simpsons where Homer puts together a dating video for Ned, there's footage of Ned getting out of the shower. His junk is pixelated and goes down to his knees. Which is funny in itself, except before this, it was establishes that Lisa was the one editing the tape. She saw everything. In my country, some women rent babies to beg money with in the streets. They make them drink a pill that would make them sleep. There was a cat in a retirement home here that always went to sleep on the bed where he knew the person would die. On the one hand, it was reassuring that the people had company at their last moments in life, but people started to panic when the cat jumped up on their bed. So they had to take the cat away from the home. I think they must pick up a certain smell or a change of to be able to know. In your family, one person will go to all the family's funerals and one person will go to none. Dark Forest Theory. Basically, we haven't been contacted by aliens yet because there are predatory alien civilizations out there hunting down species across the universe, and to avoid being hunted, no one leaves their planet and stays quiet. This would not be a good thing for humans since we've already been sending out radio signals. I'm so happy I started reading this thread at 10:30 p.m. on a Sunday night. Because of pregnant women, the average number of skeletons inside a human body is greater than 1. Organ failure is a far less peaceful death than TV portrays it as. They usually don't just quietly pass in an instant. It takes days, wheezing, rattling breaths, gargling noises from somewhere in their throat, etc. The body makes a lot of noise when shutting down. Source: witnessed my grandpa die of organ failure over the span of a week. He was unconscious. Unlike movies, where the person silently lies there and peacefully stops breathing, it's quite graphic and disturbing. Most modern knowledge on what happens when you go through hypothermia is almost entirely down the Nazi and Japanese human experiments. In World War I, thousands of soldiers listened to politicians tell them, "It'll be a quick war, in and out," and even Kaiser Wilhelm II said, "You'll be home before the first leaves of August fall," to his soldiers. The war destroyed the psyche of thousands of soldiers, ended family lines, tore Europe apart, and the worst of all, buried bodies beneath the earth alongside weapons and equipment that is never going to be found. And this is only a 4-year war that pushed the limits to the max. How lobotomies were conducted. They scrambled the brain while asking their patient questions to know when to stop once the answers became nonsensical/inconsistent. I'm not of the squeamish kind, but being made into a mindless husk while being conscious is just one of the worst things imaginable to me. I managed to watch Men Behind the Sun, which is the worst movie I ever saw because of its realism. but watching videos of lobotomies being conducted is completely unbearable. Working with residents in middle and late stages of Alzheimer's is terrifying and heartbreaking. There are a lot of families that drop their loved ones off and will never return again and don't see their family members spending hours crying and walking the halls looking for them every single day. This is just one aspect of it. I could dive really deep, but it would be such a long post. But point to be made, it is a disturbing disease to watch consume a human being. You cannot prove that anyone else is real. The only thing you know for sure is you are conscious. I forget what it's called, but sometimes the artery that runs right next to your esophagus, over years of recurrent acid reflux, can rupture. It fills your stomach with blood in seconds, which causes you to vomit, which causes more damage. It fills you up with blood so fast that it eventually fills your lungs. This takes maybe a minute or two and is almost always fatal unless it happens to occur while you're in a hospital. Your last few minutes alive are spent vomiting pints of blood and then drowning in it. After a man wearing a suicide vest detonates, the three things that almost always survive the blast are the dude's head, pops straight up in the air, the cock and balls, pop straight down, and his feet. They're usually all three just kind of hanging out in the crater.